to iHealth, and Jasmine and I, we are considered, I guess, second generation iHealthers, who we were both introduced by our moms, right? She was introduced by her own mom. I was introduced to iHealth by my mother-in-law, who got involved, and I think they're a little bit more familiar with the way iHealth and the business model works. So I think they fell in love first with the product, and that's kind of true for a lot of people. A lot of people fall in love with the product first before they decide to, is this something that I want to invest my time in terms of business? Because I guess this model of business, this networking model, is not something that everyone is very familiar with. So we're glad you guys are here. So we're excited to kind of share a little bit more and talk about how that works. But in terms of how I got started, like I said, I joined because my mother-in-law was very involved. And I think throughout COVID, like I said, I have 2 kids. My kids were toddlers at that time. So between being a full-time mom, a full-time a professional working my full-time career, I had no time to do iHealth. Like it was just something that I was, probably like many of you were also skeptical about. Like, what is this? Like, this is not something that I'm familiar with. This is not something that I'm used to. I worked with startups. I've worked with big corporations. I've worked in enterprise. I've worked in fashion. I've worked in many different companies throughout my career. And, that's the model I'm used to, right? The traditional corporate America way of working. So I've done a lot of research on what iHealth is and what it truly means to join this kind of networking business. And putting aside my own skepticism, I think what I've actually come to realize is when my mother-in-law joined iHealth, she also started an account for me. I didn't touch it. I didn't do anything with it because who had time, right? With 2 toddlers and a full-time job, like there was just no time for me to do anything else on top of COVID at that time. So, I haven't touched my account. I know my family takes the product and they're they're very happy with it. I also use a lot of the products. So I use some of the skincare lines, which I absolutely adore. And I also take some of the supplements that we have as well. So it's been great in terms of that, but I wasn't interested in starting a new venture, right? It's just completely it's just not within my realm of comfort at that time. But I think in the last 2 or 3 years, every time I log into my iHealth account, there's a couple $100 every single month just being added to my account. And I don't know where it's coming from, to be honest. So, with that, I think I started to really look into it. Is this something else that I can add to kind of my own portfolio of things that I'm doing? Can this eventually replace my income? Can it not necessarily replace my full-time job per se? And maybe it can, right? I know for a lot of people doing iHealth who are serious about it, it has totally replaced what they've been doing, working for corporate America, working a laborious job, whatever it is that they're doing right now. But for me, it's more about, I consider myself pretty successful in terms of my career and in terms of where I am in my life. So do I really need this? Yes, everybody needs a little bit more extra. So, it's more about kind of testing the waters, getting introduced to this. What is it about? Is this something that I can build my wealth on, right? As I'm getting older, as I want to focus more on my family and spend some more time. I see my mother-in-law, she's traveling the world, she's enjoying life, she's working at her own pace, she has flexibility to do all the different things that she wants to do. She spends a lot of time with her grandchildren. So I want that life, right? Eventually, I want to be just like her. I want to be able to travel the world and not have to report to work 9 to 5. It's just not something I want to do. And in fact, my career, I was working 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. on a daily basis, and sometimes even longer. Like it's just really, it's very draining. So I've come to a point where now it's kind of time to figure out something else, right? So that's why I'm here. Sorry for the long rant, but I am very excited to kind of introduce Jasmine. She is incredible. She very young, but she's already accomplished so much, super smart. I've spoken to her a couple of years ago where she first started iHealth, and she gave me a training on iHealth at that time. And I remember I was very impressed with this girl. I was like, wow, this girl is going to get someplace in life. And I think she has already done that. I mean, I think she's done so much in terms of supporting her mom in terms of this business venture. And she is, you know, she's worked at McKinsey, like she's done so much and accomplished so much, but why is she doing this, right? And as people who are professionals who's graduated from prestigious colleges and whatnot. Like, why are we here? Why are we doing this instead of going the traditional model? So I think that's kind of what the story is about, and what Jasmine will spend her time kind of walking us through. What is it that we can potentially do with iHealth, and how can it make our lives better, not only from a wealth perspective, but also from a health perspective, right? Because we all need a little bit of better health, and NNM has a lot of proven scientific facts about how it could really improve our health and improve many aspects of our well-being. So I'm going to turn it over to Jasmine, who's going to walk us through, and I know she has a presentation. So thank you, Jasmine.
Yeah, thanks so much, Minsi. Let me share my screen. I think I just sent a request. Let me know when everyone can see my screen.
I can see it now.
Okay, sounds good. No, thank you, Minsi, for the introduction, and a lot of the points that you mentioned, I also like very much resonate with. Today, this presentation, I'm going to be covering basically a lot on kind of my personal story and why I decided to choose iHealth, and then just looking at kind of the business opportunity from four dimensions or four lenses in terms of the product moat, or what is NMN, why is there such a big hype around it, the company in terms of like the trend leaderships that it's riding on, and then looking at the business model, looking at the asset light and low risk aspect of why I kind of chose it, and as well as the nature of the income that you can earn. So a recurring, scalable, and kind of explosive compounding type income. So with that, I just want to give kind of a very brief introduction, as Minsi did a lovely job already of introducing myself. But I'm currently 25, so still probably quite young in terms of just graduated from school, and am on my second job after graduating, so have kind of 2 to 3 years of work experience. I graduated from Queen's Commerce, and then I had a lot of both fluent in English and Mandarin. That has helped me a lot in some of my internships when I was kind of in school. Did a lot of asset management and investing experience. So through that was looking at like what qualifies a good business and how to evaluate whether or not a company is a good business that's worth kind of investing in. So that has been a lot of what I've been doing, like through school and through my first 2 years working. And then I spent 2 years in management consulting at McKinsey right out of school as well. So working a lot with Fortune 500 companies on kind of their strategic problems of like expanding into markets or solving different like operational issues, and looking at again, like looking at large businesses and trying to improve them and make them better. And so currently I'm also continuing doing strategy and operations at an ad tech company in Toronto. And then at the same time, I'm putting my time and effort into growing my own business or side business via iHealth, which is what I'm here to share with everyone today. And so because of kind of my background, I naturally look at kind of opportunities from a very practical and analytical lens. So is this business opportunity actually worth my time, and is it actually worth your time? And that was kind of the question that I've always been asking ever since my mom kind of introduced me to iHealth. This was probably 4 or 5 years ago as well. And she had been dealing with some kind of insomnia, different health issues as she got older. And after using the product, she saw very, very meaningful improvement. So her sleep has gotten a lot better since she's taken it. And then at that time, I was actually dealing with chronic shoulder pain as well. I know at such a young age mentioning chronic shoulder pain, but it was true. I've had it since middle school, and I've gone through different treatments of acupuncture, cupping and massages and buying a stand-up desk and ergonomic setup and everything, and nothing seemed to solve it until I took NMN's supplement, and within 3 weeks, the pain that I had for so long was gone. And that to me was like, okay, this is a really great product that kind of actually works. And it's not just my personal testimony, it's my mom's as well as my mom's friends and those around her, where I've seen live testimonies of people who had eczema or insomnia or allergies, and it kind of solved that issue, as well as even more serious things like dementia or people dealing and battling with cancer, that this greatly improved their condition as well. And so because of these less live testimonies, I thought that this was kind of a great product. But for me, I think something being a good product is kind of the foundation of a good business, but it doesn't actually mean that I myself would want to get involved unless there is kind of a bigger business and income earning opportunity as well. And so I think the main thing that really got my attention with iHealth and with this business is when I saw people, maybe some people who were similar in age as me, just ordinary people who were using 1 to 3 years to get to an annual income of 200,000 USD. And this is passive and income that's still growing. I think that was really the headline for me, because for me, being out of school and being at McKinsey, I was already earning kind of a pretty high income out of school, but it was nowhere near that amount, and especially not passive. And I think it's very difficult for regular people or the average person to reach this sort of income, even for very high expertise and performing professionals. It will probably take you 10 to 15 years or even more to reach this level of salary. And even then, it wouldn't be passive. So when I saw this kind of opportunity and this kind of income earning potential, I knew that this was something I wanted to place my bets on and take a hold of. And so I want to share this framework with everyone. This was something that a lot of other mentors that were also doing iHealth kind of shared with me at the start, and it helped me think a bit more big picture and the end goal of kind of what I want in life. And so this is the ESBI framework. It's from Robert Kiyosaki, his book Rich Dad Poor Dad, which some people may have heard of, but it essentially buckets most of the ways that people are able to earn money into these 4 buckets. So you start with an employee. This is kind of, most people are here, like 90% of people are here. You kind of trade your money for a paycheck and a salary. The next thing is kind of self-employed. So this is slightly better. You maybe have a bit more flexibility. You're working for yourself, but you're still kind of trading your time for money. If you stop what you're doing, then your income also stops. So the left side is really trading your time for money. And then you get to kind of the right side. So B for business owner. And this is where you have a business or a system that is able to work for you. So you have maybe a few hundred employees, or you have kind of a business idea and a corporation that is able to earn money, so that even if you are not doing the work all the time, you still have your employees, or you still have the system to earn money for you. And then the 4th bucket is also the investor. So these people have huge amounts of capital and money to essentially make that money work for them by earning just interest income or investment dividends. And it's very difficult to get to this right side where you have that like time and financial freedom and more flexibility. It's very difficult for regular people to get there, because it normally takes heavy upfront capital investment. It's usually high risk, or you need specialized expertise and a whole team and corporation to get there. And so for me, I really thought that iHealth, when I looked at it, it was a mechanism for regular people to be able to go from the left side to the right side through this income and business through the business model. And so just taking a step back, I think looking at what's the question we should ask when we're evaluating like a business opportunity of if it's worth our time or not. For me, I like to look at these 4 things, which is what is often used in asset management and investing and consulting as well. So the first thing is kind of looking at the product moat. And what we mean by moat is if you think about like a castle that has a moat and a body of water around it, the bigger and stronger the moat is, the less likely that it will be replaced by competitors, and the more likely that it will last for a long time. So the product moat is in terms of, is the product truly unique and is it sticky? So our customers sticky, our customers coming back to purchase the product. Is it very functional and hard to replace? The second one is trend leadership. So is the company aligned with where the world is going, and can it keep adapting? Third is asset light and low risk. So does it require large amounts of capital, or can regular people just participate as well without starting from zero? And then finally, recurring and scalable income. So can this business model create recurring and passive income that actually compounds over time? So I want to really start with the product moat first, and we've been mentioning NMN as its kind of core and flagship product. Maybe some of you have heard of it, maybe today's your first time hearing about it, but NMN is truly kind of a revolutionary discovery or a compound and substance in the healthcare and longevity space. So the full name is nicotinamide mononucleotide. It's a precursor to NAD+, which NAD+ is a crucial molecule that's involved in everyday cellular energy, metabolism, DNA repair, and immune function, and a whole lot of other processes in the body. And so question that maybe people ask is like, why as we age or as we get older, we're more prone to kind of different diseases, different bodily function failure, and maybe we could get really sick just from like a common cold, whereas young people would just brush it off. Well, the key to that is in NAD+, because NAD+ levels naturally decline as we age. So they drop by around a half every 20 years. And so when that happens, the cell repair slows, damage accumulates, and ultimately that leads to sickness, organ decline, and just a wide range of the seen age-related health issues that our parents or our grandparents will all kind of experience. And so for kind of the past century, this NAD+ that's really crucial to our bodies and is basically linked with aging has been studied, where you see over the century there's been a lot of Nobel Peace Prize winners dedicated to kind of the study and the research of NAD+. But the puzzle was that NAD+ levels are declining in the body. You can't directly just inject NAD+. It won't be absorbed by the body because the molecule is too big. So scientists have been trying to figure out, how do we slow down aging, and by increasing NAD+ levels in the body. So the breakthrough of this came in 2014, where Harvard geneticist Dr. David Sinclair, he found that NMN is an effective precursor to NAD+. So it's small enough to enter the cell directly, where 2 NMN molecules will convert into 1 NAD+ molecule. And then this was a revolutionary breakthrough, because essentially we're saying that you can actually counter aging using this method. And there's been extensive research since, where tens of thousands of papers, including ones published in Science, Nature, and Cell, the most authoritative science published articles. There have been these articles on NMN's role in longevity, anti-aging, and cellular repair. And so the basic idea is kind of, you use NMN to replenish these NAD+ levels that would otherwise deplete with age. And then through this, you're able to very comprehensively support the body. And so another question that a lot of people kind of ask me is, what makes NMN so different than all the other supplements that are on the market? Because sometimes we hear about like there's like vitamins, there's like omega-3, like what's the difference between NMN and all these? And to understand that, you need to look at the history of how nutritional supplements have evolved through the years. So you start with kind of basic nutrients like proteins and vitamins. And these ones are kind of you need to consume them for a long time, but there's no exact effect. Then there's strengthening nutritional supplements like calcium, iron, zinc. So it makes up what you lack, but you can't really prevent the loss of these nutrients. And then excessive consumption is also harmful to the body. Function specific, so things like omega-3, fish oil, chitin, and these are kind of, they target a certain function or organ, but the effect is singular, and then it can also lead to kind of dependence and reliance as you use it. Function-specific compounded nutritional supplements are kind of multivitamins, mixed herbs that have a bit more of a comprehensive effect. And then cell-level repair supplements. So an example of this is resveratrol. This is a substance that, fun fact, was also actually discovered by the same David Sinclair, who discovered NMN. Back in, I think, 2003. And this is able to activate one longevity sirtuin in the body, which is in charge of DNA repair and artery health. And then you get to the 6th generation, so the latest, which only NMN right now is kind of categorized in this category, because it's the only known substance that can activate all 7 of these longevity sirtuins in the body. So you can see that each of these 7, they correspond to a specific function. And so while traditional supplements that you see at like Costco or at different drugstores, they can maybe target 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 things, NMN supports the whole system comprehensively because it's able to support and activate all 7 of these kind of sirtuins and functions. And so you can see how it's the cutting edge of kind of preventative health and anti-aging and longevity. And then just quickly, we see that NMN's influence actually extends beyond healthcare. You have the biggest players in capital in the world right now that are moving towards NMN. So NASA currently uses it, for example, to protect its astronauts from space radiation. It was also used as a supportive treatment for COVID-19 and post-COVID symptoms and treatment. And then you have big name investors like Warren Buffett, Li Ka-shing, among many who they themselves consume NMN and also are investing into NMN and NAD plus upstream supply and raw materials. And then we've talked a lot about kind of NMN, but I also want to really point out why we choose kind of iHealth NMN and what's so special about iHealth NMN, just because there's so many different brands out there in the market right now. And the first thing I want to look at is the official effects that are listed in the PDR for iHealth. And PDR stands for Physician's Desk Reference. It's this annually updated guide for healthcare providers and doctors that they use to reference when prescribing patients FDA-approved drugs and nutritional supplements. So this is a very authoritative reference to be able to kind of enter. And the official effects you see here are supports longevity, promotes energy production and endurance, supports heart health, supports immune system, promotes metabolic optimization, and supports cognitive function. And these same effects are also listed directly on their product, on the label itself. So anyone can really verbally say how good their product is, but to actually be able to have it in writing directly on the product label, if you understand anything about how strict advertising and labeling laws are in the US, you'll realize how powerful this is, because the benefits they write are very authoritatively backed and must be true and proven, because if there's anything false about it, they will have to face enormous fines or lawsuits. And so that's kind of something that we haven't seen from competitors or from other brands, to be able to directly list such comprehensive benefits right on the label and right in the PDR. And many people, they report common improvements such as better sleep, relief from joint and muscle pain, allergy relief, eczema relief, clearer cognition from dementia, and also cancer cell inhibition as well. And I also quickly want to share just the kind of comprehensive brand and products that they've built around NMN. So including the NMN capsules, NMN coffee. I think it's actually the first and only NMN infused coffee with also fat loss effects, multivitamin and electrolyte drinks for people who are active as well. And then NMN skincare cream. It's the world's first NMN infused medical grade cream. And then other than NMN, so NMN is their core flagship product, just quickly wanted to touch upon their ALF series. So they're expanding from NMN, where NMN is more comprehensive in preventative health. These product series are more focused on kind of targeted chronic condition management. So a lot of customers have found success with taking NMN as well as one or many of these additional kind of targeted products if they are dealing with a certain condition that they want to improve on. And I just want to highlight that the researchers that have developed this formula are one of kind of the top researchers. So this is developed from the Beckman Research Institute at the City of Hope, one of the top cancer and research centers in the US. So you can see Dr. Horn and Dr. Huang are kind of the lead researchers from the institution that have developed kind of the formula for these products. And then just quickly also moving into smart wearables as well. So this is their most recent product, the iHello Ring, essentially a smartwatch but in ring form that can kind of monitor all aspects of your health normally as well. And so the second dimension that I want to move on to, now that we've kind of understood the revolutionary product behind it, looking at kind of the company and the trend leadership that they have. And so if we kind of take a step back and think about the backdrop of the world today, we're living in kind of a globally aging, low birth society. We also have kind of the post-pandemic reality. Customers or the general public are being more health conscious than ever. There's also a prolonged economic downturn, which a lot of people are searching for kind of these new business models other than traditional business models. And then you also have AI-driven disruption that's putting a lot of these traditional jobs and income at risk. And I think a saying that I really like is, where there is crisis, there's also a historic reshuffling of resources and opportunities. And we see that iHealth is positioning themselves as a company that's at the center of preventative health, global e-commerce, and also mass entrepreneurship. And to understand how they're able to do this, I want to touch upon kind of the background of iHealth as a company. So they are a US-based private company that launched in 2020, and they're backed by a venture capital fund with over 30 years of pharmaceutical experience, with investments across the US, Germany, South Africa, Taiwan, and more. And so that venture capital backing gives them the capital and the capability and the experience to be able to dominate the space, which we see that they have. If you just look at their success in numbers, they're now operating in over 50 countries and regions. They have 50,000 plus members worldwide, and their revenue today is over $500 million, and they have over 50,000 customer testimonies that have used their products and have experienced benefits as well. So these are really successful numbers, and for a company that kind of proves their capability that they've already demonstrated. And so they've established themselves as kind of the industry and the leader in the space in NMN and in longevity through kind of a few key actions here. So One is quality. They use the highest grade US and German patented raw material, and they have a very high purity of 99.8%, which is the highest on the market right now. And then they're also produced to CGMP standards. So that stands for Current Good Manufacturing Practices, and it's the most stringent standard for pharmaceutical and food companies. So only around 5% of US companies in the industry hold this standard, because it means kind of anytime inspections and huge fines if you don't adhere to standards. In terms of authority, they have 17 global authoritative certifications, so including the CGMP we just mentioned, PDR, vegetarian, vegan, halal, and many more of these certifications that essentially add guarantee to their products and allow them to operate as a business in many different regions in the world. They also have the first mover advantage. So they were the first NMN product to enter the physician's desk reference and be accredited there. And then they also have very powerful assets and a built-out supply chain. So they have a fully autonomous CGMP factory. In the US, they also have LA, their headquarters, and different centers in Vancouver, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. And there are 3 R&D and pharma bases as well in North America, China, and Canada, and also door-to-door delivery in many regions. So you can see very powerful assets that they've kind of invested into. And then kind of sharing their vision as well, because through the vision of a company, we can see where this company is heading and thinking about long term. So their vision is, or mission is, to help 5 million households reach optimal health and financial freedom. And this they're doing through their 3 5-year plans, where they've already finished their first 5-year plan since they're in year 6 now. The first 5 years was all about building the financial, building the brand, driving traffic, establishing the pharmaceutical basis, and also preparing to enter the capital markets. So they're already the industry leader in this space with very strong customer and revenue growth. Now, the next 5 years is expanding that business model and entrepreneurship. So getting more people participate in on the business model revenue sharing platform that they have that links your spend to their revenue. And then building kind of the entrepreneur university. So they've already acquired a land in LA, building kind of a university for entrepreneurs that join their platform. And they're planning to go public on the NASDAQ exchange, where early members will be able to share that upside as well. And then the third 5 years, their goal is to venture into kind of wellness centers and longevity research. So deeper biotech and longevity research, including also not-for-profit initiatives. So now that we've kind of covered the company, wanted to really dive into the business model and look at the asset light and low risk nature of it. So I think for myself, I've always kind of been on the lookout for opportunities to build my own business or my own side business. And I think this was influenced by my parents. My dad was always kind of self-employed. He ran his own small business. And then my mom always told me, you need to become your own boss one day, because if you only rely on your salary, it's very hard to truly have time and financial flexibility. And so for me, it wasn't really about, yes, if I should start a side business, but it was more so about what kind of side business is actually suitable for someone like me. Because right out of school, I did not have huge amounts of capital. I didn't have like a genius product idea or a team that could build something with me. And so even though I was interested in entrepreneurship, I knew that most business ideas or opportunities were not easy for me to execute on. And so I also looked at kind of my friends around me and what they ended up doing. So some of my friends from McKinsey, they moved to the States to kind of join startups or start their own company. And that path sounded really cool on paper, but realistically, it requires kind of raising large amounts of capital, taking on huge risk, and basically investing all your time in your 20s and maybe in your 30s to just sustain the business. And even after all that, we know that 90% of startups often fail. And so the risk is very high there. And if we compare traditional entrepreneurship, whether it be kind of a startup or starting your own business, to kind of the entrepreneurship opportunity via iHealth, you can really see the difference between risk and reward. So for traditional entrepreneurship, you have to come up with your own novel product idea. For iHealth, you can just leverage this already revolutionary product that is developed by the top scientists in the world. Traditionally, you would have to raise large amounts of capital. For iHealth, you can turn your consumption into an investment or into an income stream. For traditional business, you need to build your own supply chain and physical assets, whereas in iHealth, you're leveraging kind of an already built out supply chain. And then often if you have your own business, it sucks up all your time. You may have to quit your job or even start from zero and start from scratch. Whereas in iHealth, there's a saying of your team does 85% of the work and you do the other 15%. So you can really leverage the team and system here that you're not kind of operating alone. And then obviously huge risk of failure versus virtually no risk. And to kind of get into how exactly the business model works. So it's essentially a membership-based revenue sharing model. So becoming a member and an active customer gives you the right to share income with the business, wherein every time you connect someone to the platform, you get a referral bonus plus a percentage of all their future spend and a percentage of anyone that they connect to the platform as well. And that last part is very, very powerful because it's essentially giving you like a percentage of royalties from every person that you connect or share this product or share the platform with. And I don't think many businesses do allow that kind of revenue sharing model today. And so a way to kind of a comparison I like to think of is, let's say, let's look at another kind of membership-based business model, for example, Costco, that everyone is familiar with. You need to essentially buy a membership to be able to shop at Costco. But if let's say you really like Costco and you share it with your friends and they end up shopping at Costco, Costco doesn't give you anything. They don't give you a referral bonus. They don't give you a percentage of that person's spend for the next 10 years. They don't do anything like that. But with iHealth, they operate through kind of this word of mouth network sharing model, so that if you share the business, then you get a percentage of all that revenue from the person that you share it with. And so there's tremendous kind of scale and growth potential in this sort of business model. And all through the simple motion of kind of becoming a member and active customer and connecting others to the platform. And another way I kind of like to think about this is it's essentially a much better and asset-light version of kind of a franchise model. Because say you're a big fan of kind of McDonald's, which operates on a franchise model. You think it's a very good business, you like the product, you have faith in where the business is going, and you want to have a part in it. But the only way that you can share revenue with McDonald's is if you buy the right to open a franchise. That's going to cost you at least $50,000 just upfront, and probably another kind of 1 to 2 million over the next few years as you invest in decor, inventory, real estate, etc. iHealth, on the other hand, allows you to essentially open a franchise and share revenue with the company through this extremely asset-light model. So the only requirement is becoming a membership at one of kind of these options outlined on the right. And then this thing they call auto ship. So that's essentially putting around 150 USD a month into your product card and being kind of that active customer. And so becoming a member is kind of this one-time investment that gives you the right to share revenue with the business for life. And this is in the form of putting money into a product card that you could then use to buy products whenever you want, and it never expires. So this is really good if you're planning to just use the products yourself anyways. So you're essentially just putting the money into your product card, which you can then use to buy the products. And we always recommend L4 for anyone who is seriously wanting to do this business, just because it maximizes the bonus income that you can access. So all 7 bonuses, and it's the only level that allows you to accumulate points that will convert to equity stock once it goes public on the NASDAQ exchange. So there's also some other options that are laid out here as well. But really, if you are going to use the product anyways and you want to do the business and get the maximum benefits, we always recommend level 4. And then on kind of the auto ship part as well, because a lot of people, when they first hear about this, as well as myself included, was the first reaction is like, that seems like a lot, right? 150 USD a month. But if you put it into perspective and break it down, that's equivalent to around 2 cups of coffee a day, or maybe a round trip bus or subway ticket. It's a very low investment, if you even call it that, since you're essentially just moving you and your family's regular consumption on preventative health, nutritional supplements, coffee, or skincare over to iHealth, and then turning that consumption into essentially an investment or an income stream. And then another thing that I want to kind of touch on before we move into exactly kind of how the income breaks out. Another reason why this model is really low risk is because you're not building alone. Because in most businesses, everything rides on kind of your own knowledge, your own time and ability to figure things out. But with iHealth, there is a team and a system that kind of provides all the training, all the mentorship and resources, and also a replicable path to business success and financial success. So the guiding principle that we always say is 15% your own effort and 85% leveraging the already existing team and system. And so you can leverage the team's kind of experience, expertise, and time and effort, and it essentially builds a system for yourself because of the business model that connects everyone together, so that your success contributes to your team's success, and your team's success also contributes to your own success. So support kind of looks, some examples of support that are not limited to these are like, we have a bunch of starter resources about the product, about the business plan, etc. Live sessions like these that are regular, one-on-one mentorship. So that your team will always be happy to kind of help you build a personalized success plan and in order to reach your financial goals. And then also the entrepreneurship courses and education that they are launching in kind of LA through their new school location that they've newly acquired as well. And so more on kind of the income, the nature of the income. The fourth dimension that I want to look at is how it's recurring and scalable income. Because as someone, I think, that started in traditional industry, so management consulting, I was making like a lot for someone right out of school. I was making around $100,000 an annual salary early in my career. And I knew that if I worked for another maybe 10 to 15 years, I could maybe make partner at McKinsey and get to kind of an annual salary that's close to like $1 million annually, let's say. But the thing is, I would have to put maybe for the rest of my life every day 14 to 16 hours of work for the next who knows however many years of my life in order to get to that goal. And even if I got to that salary, it's very much active income and not passive. And so I'd be forgoing flexibility in time and lifestyle for the rest of my life. But in iHealth, through this business model, every person that you share the product or the business opportunity with, and then every person that they then share it on, later on, they become of your long-term network. And because the product consumption is recurring, it creates an ongoing income instead of just one-time sales. And then also, because the platform is global, your opportunity is not limited to a physical store or a city or even a country. And iHealth's bonus plan, so these are all of the 7 bonuses that you're able to kind of earn the income through. It's very scalable and also diversified, because income doesn't come from just one source or one type of bonus. It's diversified across these different streams. So there's really three ways that you can kind of earn income: through sharing, through your own spend, and then also through kind of building your network and your team. And so just quickly touching upon the 7 bonuses. So there's the referral bonus. This one you can start earning right away, even if you're just level 1. There's the market expansion bonus. So in kind of network marketing models or revenue sharing models, you usually have kind of 2 lines that you, or 2 legs that you build. And so this one is when the points of your 2 lines match. And the thing with this is that it's not capped, which is very rare because there's basically infinite earning potential here. Whereas in a lot of other companies, they kind of cap it at a certain point. And then through spending, you're able to earn kind of the leadership matching bonus. So you can earn solely as a customer and can just simply get lucky and earn it this way. You don't even have to refer a single person to be able to earn this type of bonus. There's the auto ship bonus, so that's from your team's kind of product repurchases, and it only requires 1 line. And then ECBB points are points that you accumulate that will convert to equity stock when the company goes public. And we all know that with accretion on equity stock, that could also lead to a huge income potential there as well. And then through team building and network building, there's the rank award bonus, so recurring bonuses for team milestones reached. So if you have a network of 100 people or 300 people, that's kind of a recurring income that way. And then one-time bonuses that are up to $2 million in a lifetime. And so another thing that I want to highlight is it truly trumps kind of all other similar revenue sharing or network marketing business models. And the best way that I can capture this is through the CLIMB acronym. So first one is convenient entry. Because there's no rank requirements, there's no clearing of points or inventory or stocking requirements, so that even new members, they can have equal access to the same amount of bonuses as kind of 5-year veterans who are doing the business. Because usually in a lot of network marketing companies, you have to earn the right to be able to earn the maximum percentage of bonuses, but this doesn't happen in iHealth. For leveraging 1 line, so you can just build 1 team line and still create strong income, because a lot of the times in other models, you have to have a very balanced 2 lines. If you have 1 line that's really strong, so a really strong network, and the other line that's weaker, you can only earn kind of the income potential of the weaker line, and it's very limited. But with this, you can earn just from 1 line as well. And then you're increasing value through consumption. So you're turning your everyday spending into kind of these long-term assets and allowing you to accumulate equity as well. And then maximize earnings. So the market expansion bonus that I mentioned, it doesn't have any ceiling. So the earning potential here is not capped. And then for building a long-term income, so you're creating the sustainable recurring income and building wealth, and you can establish a legacy for your family's future, because all the income on the platform is also transferable to your heirs or your children as well, which is really nice about this platform. And then with this example, I just want to highlight kind of tactically what that looks like, because we've kind of shared the business model, but sometimes it helps to look at this on paper and to see, like, what exactly do I need to do to get to kind of a level of income that you guys are talking about? And with this, this model of duplication, where everyone just shares with 2 people a month, because I know a lot of people, they ask me, okay, so Jasmine, if I do this business, does that mean I have to share, how many people do I have to share it with to be able to reach the level of income that you're talking about? And the thing is, by breaking this down into like an achievable goal, if you just share with 2 people a month, is that hard? Maybe in like the first few months, it might be a bit hard if you're newly starting out, but most people would say that that sounds like an achievable goal that regular people can manage. And so this model, it looks at each month, let's say you share this business model with 2 people, and then they then share it each month with 2 new people. what your total network size looks like at each month. And we can see that it really grows exponentially, whereby at the 7th month, you have maybe a team of 254 people in your network. That doubles in the 8th month. And then again, by the 9th month, following this kind of step-by-step and logic, you're already at an 1,000 people network. And if you look at on the right side of what that equates to in terms of the size of your network to kind of a monthly and an annual income, you can see that even at 100 people network, that's like a pretty good side business income, like for $24,000 to $36,000 annually. And this is all in USD, by the way. Then at 300 people, you're already achieving kind of the average range for a Canadian salary. And then at 500 people, this is more than what I was earning at kind of the top consulting firm, McKinsey, when I was there. And of course, at 1,000 network people, this is kind of my goal in terms of, I think that this would be a very comfortable income that would allow me the time and financial freedom and flexibility that I want in my kind of lifetime. And you can see that you don't need to build an 1,000 people network overnight, and you don't need to, you really only need to share this with 2 other people, and this can happen from it. You can see that the power of this business model is in that exponential and compounding growth to get to a very ideal and sizable income opportunity. And so I just want to kind of close with that. And basically today we've kind of looked at all these 4 dimensions. We've looked at kind of the product moat that it has with NMN. That's like truly unique and sticky and backed by all the science and certifications and testimonies. You have the company that knows what it's doing. It's at the forefront of health, longevity, anti-aging. It has the capital, the capabilities to be able to do this, and as well as kind of a multi-decade plan that it's laid out. And then you have the business model that's extremely asset light and low risk, where regular people can use this to start their own entrepreneurship and their income stream. And then the nature of this income is recurring and scalable. It's passive, and through compounding, it has this explosive potential that you don't really get anywhere else. And so I know I've said a lot today, but hopefully some of the things I've said can kind of resonate with you. If you're also thinking about kind of a side business or choosing kind of a business to do either full-time or adding it to kind of your own day job, which is essentially what I'm doing. But I think for me, I would rather spend a couple of years building a network on iHealth that gives me a passive income with very high potential, rather than kind of spending the next 10 to 20 years on a traditional career path or startup even. To try and get to kind of a similar level because of just the risk and reward that we talked about nowadays. So yeah, I think iHealth is definitely it feels like an opportunity that's kind of the right thing at the right time, and also gives regular people like myself the chance to reach my goals of financial freedom and in time freedom in a relatively short time frame. And so feel free to kind of talk to whoever shared this business opportunity with you today, and I'm sure they'll help find you the right kind of starting point where you can build this business with them together. So yeah, I just want to end with that and possibly pass it back to Minsi as well.
Thank you so much, Jasmine. So I don't know if anyone else here is as motivated as I am, but that I think was a very nice presentation in terms of giving us an overview of what not only the product, but also what this business opportunity, like it's really the opportunity, right? The opportunity cost is low here. It's really investing some of your time in here. And, you know, like I said, I've worked many, many years in HR, and I can tell you, I know a lot of people's salaries. I've worked at, you know, global companies, thousands of people, and the CEOs are making about $1 million. That requires, I mean, how many CEOs are there, right? Working at global business, making $1 million, and starting salary for a lot of people, really on your average college graduate is making like 50 to 60,000 right now, US dollars. And there are so many tenured people making between 100, 150. If you make over $150, $150,000, I think that's already a quite tenured 10, 15 plus year employee on average. So, you know, you're working your whole life building that, but at the same time, like as Jasmine said, you could potentially adding 2 people to your network, letting that network grow, it's going to compound and you may be reaching that goal much earlier. And even better if it's a side income for you, right? Like you can keep your own job, have this on the side and be financially free, right? So eventually I think that's my goal. That's why I am here. Hopefully one day I would be able to not have to do all of my own business ventures, whatever it is I'm doing, and live off of iHealth. So that's the goal here. And I know everybody here, you guys, whoever referred you, whoever kind of introduced you to this, maybe you're their number 2, maybe you're the number 3, you're helping them grow too. And then you'll find some people who are going to join these presentations. And, you know, as Jasmine said, your team is helping you build this, right? Your team is doing 85% of the work. We are part of the team. We're doing these presentations. All of you are joining these. We're not doing this, like this is our time and this is not, you don't necessarily have to do this on your own if you're not a good presenter, if you're not a good speaker, but you know, all you have to do is share and talk to people. So you have people on your team like Jasmine, like myself, who may like to talk and who wants to do these presentations. So leverage our abilities and leverage our what we can bring to the table. And, you know, the team's here to support you. So feel free to reach out to whoever it is that shared this with you. And then we're always around if you have any questions. Thank you, guys. And thank you, Jasmine.
Thank you, Minsi. Thank you, everyone.
All right, right on time. So thank you, everyone. We're going to end the meeting here.